Hello and welcome back to another episode of Saffas Abroad Rugby Podcast, the podcast where you, the viewers, have the chance to sort of dive deep behind the scenes and get to know some of the rugby players on a more personal level, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to say massive thank you to all of you for being here and supporting me on this journey. And, I can't thank you enough. So thank you for that. Today, I have the absolute pleasure of speaking to a fellow Safa and the current Sale Sharks captain up in Manchester, Jono Ross. Jono, how are you doing, my man?
Yeah, all good. Hi, everyone. Can't complain. As I said, the weather's starting to improve, so that's always a good sign.
Absolutely, man. It's a positive thing. That's, I think, us as South Africans or anybody in general, the minute, we get a bit of vitamin C, vitamin D, or whatever the sun gives us, we're a bit more cheerful, aren't we?
No, definitely. There was a few more smiles at training today when the weather's like this. It's been quite a cold winter at times. So no, definitely nice to see the sun.
Look, let's just jump straight into it. You have a massive game coming up this weekend against London Irish. They are currently 6 on the log. I think 2 points behind you guys. It's safe to say it's a big game. I mean, well, all games are big games, but I mean, how have you guys prepared for this week, and what's preparation been looking like?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it feels like every week's a big game, and there's not too many. There's not too many bad teams within the league. So, yeah, obviously we were disappointed with the way last week went. We felt we were good in some areas and disappointing in other areas. So that's been a big focus for us, is how we improve those areas we weren't happy with. But obviously Irish are a quality team, and they have some genuine world-class players within their ranks. So we know we're up for a tough one, as always. But we've been trying to focus on ourselves, as I said, and try and improve. Trying to improve on last week's performance, because we were disappointed with the way that one ended.
And what's the chemistry like in the squad at the moment? I mean, how do you typically keep up morale after a loss? And I guess, how do you guys like to celebrate? Obviously, I imagine, you're quite humble when you have a good win, but in terms of a loss, how do you try and keep up morale in the team then?
Yeah, I think at the moment, obviously with COVID, it's difficult. I think in normal times we try and spend a lot of time together, which sort of helps that chemistry you asked about there. So it's a little bit challenging in these times, but we're quite process driven. We focus on the process and how we achieve that process. Sometimes there's chinks in that. Sometimes not. Sometimes you can be at your best and lose games. We don't feel we're quite at our best on the weekend. We feel emotionally we're a little bit off, and we had a lot of chances in the first half, and we didn't finish those off. So there are definitely things to work on. I think after a loss, it's always important to go and look at those and learn, and make sure that we get better.
Yeah, and I mean, we had a couple of key players come back. I say we because I support the Sale Sharks, and that must have really boosted morale at the beginning of the game, to know that some big players like Jean, Quibus, and these guys were sort of back in the squad, and and they obviously made a bit of an impact in the game. Jean scored a great try, and how are you, as a captain? I mean, there's obviously an incredible amount of expectation now. How do you deal with that from the fans? I mean, there aren't fans at all at the moment, but from your teammates, from your coaching staff, you personally, how do you deal with those expectations?
Yeah, I think more than fans, I think we expect a lot from ourselves. So we don't really focus on outside pressure. Obviously, we want to make our fans proud, but more than them, we put expectations on ourselves to perform. We don't focus too much on log position and things like that. We just focus on our performance and our process, and we put pressure on ourselves to drive that every week and to be at the top of that every week. The players coming back, obviously JL and Quibus, they make a difference. They're quality players, but we have a good squad. The likes of Cam Neal, Sam Dugdale, these type of guys who've come in the place of these guys have done really well. So I think that's important to recognise as well, is that yes, we've got some quality, international players, but within the squad there's quality as well. So those guys have come and put in their hand, and I'm sure they'll get more chances, going forward. So it's a squad effort, but obviously, players of this quality make a big difference.
Absolutely, and there have been some of the younger guys, who have come on sort of with about 30 minutes to go and have really shown their quality almost instantly. And I mean, is that something that you expect from such a young age, because they are in such a peak performance team?
Yeah, I must say, since I moved overseas, I think, especially to Sale, I think some of the young guys. I mean, I arrived. The Curries were 19 years old, and seeing some of their performances was incredible. It's very rare back home in South Africa that you see guys at that age performing at this level. I mean, you do get them, but they're absolute freaks, But the Curries, when I arrived, were 18, 19, and you could see then that they were massive. And now you've got guys like Bevan Rod, who's 19 years old, Rafi, who's 18, and they're not just surviving at this level; they're thriving, and that's really exciting if you're a Sharks fan going forward, and for myself as well to see these young guys coming through. And there's lots that I haven't mentioned, Connor Doherty and Luke James. These guys are young but performing at this level, which is so good to see, and a credit to our academy staff, and a credit to the young guys for working so hard, and as I said, putting their hand up when they've got the chance, and pushing now for starting spots, which is great to see.
Let's stay on the topic of you personally now. You're currently on, like I see here, 192 tackles for the season, and physicality is clearly a massive part of your game. What do you do to maintain such peak performance? Like, how do you keep yourself in such optimum at an optimum level?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I enjoy tackling. Obviously, I'm not sure I'll be top of the stats this year. I think there's been some ridiculous stats. I think what Blake Cowan made 34 tackles this weekend, which is a massive stat. And the games, there's quality players across the league, as we've spoken about. But yeah, I think it's just trying to get yourself on an emotional level where you can guard and perform. And I think it's trying to perform for the people around you, and try and make people proud, like your family and people like that, and friends. That's really what drives me to keep trying to make as many tackles as I can and try and perform as well as I can. I want to perform for the team. I want the team to be successful. I want our coaching staff to be successful, and if that's what I got to do that, then that's the way it goes. And I just got to get myself on that emotional level every week. Obviously not boil over, as potentially I have done in recent weeks. But just got to try and be on a level that you can keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I was the same growing up in school. I actually went to Harbury College, which is a relatively decent rugby establishment. And I remember prior to Harbury, going to high school here in the UK, I was always picked last for football. I was always, sort of picked first or second for cricket. But when it came to rugby, there was no doubt, Carlson, go stand on the wing and just run and tackle as much as you can. And I think growing up in South Africa, we're quite proud of rugby, and we love the game so much, and we love being big, fierce, strong, guys, and as well as being humble, of course. But I understand what you mean. And, we talk about trying to balance that physicality on the field. You need to do it within the rules, obviously. And then, of course, but sometimes, these things happen. And I mean, that's why you've got other guys in the team, I'm sure, who are there, who've been through these things many times before, who you can rely on and sort of go to, even during training or even during a game. Who's the one guy in your squad that you always find yourself going to, looking for a bit of advice, and what should we go for here? Line out, scrum. Who's you asking advice from? Sorry.
I think myself and Faf talk quite a lot. I think we've been here a long time together, and been through quite a lot together. And I think on the pitch we speak quite a lot. We have a good understanding. Sometimes it's not always nice. We probably get upset with each other at times, but I think we have a good understanding. And obviously he's one of the best in the world, isn't he? So to have a guy like that to turn to is pretty incredible. He gives me a lot of crap for the time I've spent off the pitch recently, but in a good way. And he's world class, and he's a great guy to have. And there's many others. I think Loet Diago's put up his hand massively. Josh Beaumont. There's lots of guys who I lean on, and are leaders within the group. So, but the guy over the years, I think, has probably been Faf. He's a good friend, and I rely on him a lot.
And I mean, he's proved many times, you don't particularly want to mess with Faf de Klerk as well. So, so your coach, Alex Sanderson, has recently joined the club, and he's repeatedly said at the beginning his focus was to compete for 80 minutes at for competing for 80 minutes nonstop is imperative, is how I should say it. And he did rotate the team quite a bit in the beginning. I assume that's purely because of injury, and he wanted to get sort of like a sus for the team. And how closely do you get to work with him? And
I think our relationship is good. I think we speak fairly often, but obviously I'm first and foremost a player, so he treats me as he would anyone else. But he's a world-class coach, and one of the best I've worked with. Although in a short time, his methods are pretty incredible. As I think guys at Sarries would attest to, his meetings are outstanding. He's, when he talks, you want to listen to him, and he's a coach that you want to play for. I'm really enjoying working with him. He's brought a very different vibe and creating an environment and a place that you want to be a part of. He's rotated the team because he's got faith in the players, and I touched on that. We've got really good youngsters coming through, and he needed to see them. And most of those guys who he rotated put their hands up and will continue to get selected. So we have full faith in what he's doing. We're buying into it, and that's the most important thing, really.
So if you were to sort of describe or explain his message in a sentence, what was his message right at the beginning, the minute you guys met him?
He basically just said, don't take me for what you've heard, take me for what you experience every day. And that was it, really. And he's been incredible from day one, from his first meeting. He's very creative in his meetings. His meetings are incredible, and it's something that you can really buy into and the team can buy into. I don't think he's come in and try to change everything. I think obviously there were certain things that attracted him to this team, which he hasn't tried to change, but I do think he's tried to change the mentality of the place. He's tried to get us more mentally engaged and have a better understanding of our behaviors and actions. And I think the group's really taken to that.
Now, if we may, a little bit of life outside of rugby. We've all seen that you've recently had little ones, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, how busy do your girls keep you at home then?
Yeah, they do keep me busy. My wife's been pretty incredible, though. She's taken on a lot of the work with my little one. Obviously, I enjoy spending time with her as well, and try and take on as much as I can. But yeah, it is obviously, sleep is important. Things like that are to perform at rugby obviously important, but it's really nice to have something outside of rugby that you look forward to coming home to, and it's a little bit different. It's obviously a challenge, but it's been great, and life-changing experience for the good, and it's a really special time for us as a family, and we're trying to make the most of it, really.
And what are some of your hobbies and interests outside of the game?
Obviously, my hobbies are golf. I enjoy playing golf when I can. I enjoy fishing, and when we can get back to Zim, I do a bit of farming here and there as well. But I wouldn't say I'm a full-blown farmer, but we do try a little bit. Obviously, it's difficult at the moment to do any of those things. I'd love to get on a boat and go and fish, or get on a course to go play around a golf, but we can't do much of those at the moment. So at the moment it's Netflix and a bit of garden work here and there, but not much.
And now, Manchester is obviously a massive city for sport. They have two of the biggest football clubs in the world. I was just about to ask, do you support either of those teams?
I support Man United, yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. Do you get much time to watch any of the games?
Yeah, I do try and watch it. I used to get to the stadium a couple of times a year until COVID hit. We used to go quite a bit, or as much as we could, which was fantastic. to experience that is a pretty incredible thing. So yeah, now I just try and watch whenever I can on TV. As I said, there's obviously not much else to do, so yeah, there's always a game of football on, so it's nice to watch.
Now, just before we get into some of the questions from the fans, I had one last question regarding a player that's just recently retired, which I think for many of us might have come as a shock or a surprise, or however they felt, to be honest. And I'm, of course, talking about CJ Stander. We've seen that you've expressed some of your wishes to him. How well do you know CJ, and what do you think of his decision?
Yeah, I think the first time me and CJ came across each other, he was the captain of SA Schools and I was the captain of this academy team in 2008. And he's an incredible rugby player. He always was from school. And then we were both at the Bulls together, formed a friendship and a bit of a rivalry, I guess. We were competing for a similar spot, but he's a better rugby player than I am, to be fair. And he's been incredibly successful. Going to Munster, I think he's played over 150 games. He's got 50 tests for Ireland. He's a British and Irish Lion, so he's been massively successful. He's always worked really hard, and he's a quality rugby player. And I think that's come to sort of fruition since he's moved over here. And I think I would imagine lockdown's probably put a bit of strain on him, as it has all of us. It's been a difficult time to be away from family. And he's got a daughter as well, and I'm sure his wife is finding it difficult being away from home. He wants to get back to the farm, I'm sure, and I fully respect his decision. I think it's awesome. He's a family man. He wants to get back to his family. He wants to get back home where the weather's a little bit better, and where things are probably a bit brighter. South Africa, things are a lot more open, and he'll be closer to home and his family. And I think we all feel that at the moment. Speaking to a few guys, this has been a really tough period for a lot of guys. So yeah, I think it's fantastic. He said he wanted to retire at the top of his game, and I think he's only getting better. And I'm sure he'll be a British and Irish Lion again at the end of this season if that goes ahead. So yeah, as I said to him, he had a fantastic career, and I'm sure he'll enjoy being on the farm. So I wish him all the best.
I share your sentiments, man. I'm sure if by some miracle he gets to watch this, thank you very much. And yeah, we appreciate everything he's done for the game. Absolutely. Right, let's jump into some fan questions. I tried initiating this in one of the last podcasts, but I've got some more questions now. And we start with a question from a guy called AP Cronier. We've sort of already covered one half of his question, but he's got a second part to it. So he says here, how is your relationship with Alex Sanderson, and what do you think of his coaching philosophy?
Yeah, as I touched on, I think we have a decent relationship. I hope anyway. He's first and foremost a good person. He wants to know you as a person. He doesn't just want to know you as a rugby player. He took time to get to know everyone, and that's important. His philosophy, he likes physicality. He wants us to be relentless. He wants us to apply pressure on opposition, which I think fits in well with what we're about. And as I said earlier, I think the things he says and speaks about, the team buys into and wants to be a part of. He's been very successful at Saracens, where he was before. So yeah, he's a successful coach, and I think hopefully we can start that journey together. And I'm sure he'll be here for a lot longer than I will, and I'm sure he'll be successful.
Next one is from a gentleman called Ben Nurse. He says, would you rather win the Champions Cup or the Premiership?
Tough question. I think I would like to win both, but I think the Premiership. I think that's ultimately the bread and butter. I think that's where we play week in, week out. Obviously, winning the Champions Cup would be incredible. You're the best in Europe, but I think to win the Premiership, especially for Sale, where we are at the moment, would be massive for the club and for everyone involved.
Just a couple more. We have one from Nick Lass on Twitter. They say, we have a lot of Saffas in the Premiership, and it's great to see. It's great for the game. What advice would you give to any player coming in to the Premiership, especially South Africans?
Yeah, I think into the Premiership or into France. So anyway, I think you got to buy into the culture and the differences that it presents here, because it is different. Although England is probably a lot more similar than maybe France, but I think it's important for anyone coming from South Africa here is to buy into the culture and the different people that you come across, and then just to be yourself. And you don't have to be anything different. You just got to be what you are. South Africans are generally really hard workers, pretty physical, and I think that's appreciated within the Premiership, and you can see that with a number of players that are over here at the moment, and most of which are being pretty successful across teams. So just got to enjoy it, buy into everything, and be ourselves, really.
And we're always the first, willing to bri. So
exactly.
Garth says, any chance of going back to South Africa?
I think we'll go back. I don't think going back to play rugby. No, I think that ship sailed a long time ago. But yeah, I think potentially moving back and going and living back home. I think I touched on it when I spoke about CJ about, I think lockdowns sort of presented some different sort of challenges. Being away from family for myself, for my wife, is difficult. So we'd like to be closer to home, but I've still got a couple of years in me. But yeah, we would consider going back to Africa, definitely. But I don't think I'll be playing rugby back there.
I mean, you can never say never.
No, exactly.
So the last one, a guy called Nikus, he says, how are things in Bulawayo? And, as we just touched on, would you ever go back? But I guess you just touched on that in the last question, right? But how are things in Bulawayo?
Yeah, they're good. Obviously, my wife's family is based there. So we go back whenever we get home. Things are good as they can be, I guess. Obviously, again, there's challenges there, but life's good. The weather's good. People are friendly, and that's another potential place we might end up. Who knows? But yeah, they're pretty good, and things are carrying on, as they say.
Well, my man, it's been an absolute pleasure, like a ridiculous honor for me to have you on. And, I thank you so much for what you're doing at Sale and for all the South African rugby players in general. You're an absolute inspiration, and you genuinely are an all-round awesome dude. And I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming on. I'm sure we'll chat again soon. And I just wanted to take this opportunity on behalf of everybody I can think of to say thank you and good luck for the end of the season. Good luck with the baby. Good luck with absolutely everything. And I'm sure I'll catch you again soon.
Thank you very much for your kind words. I appreciate it. And I think, everyone appreciates your very informative Instagram posts as well as tweets. So thank you very much, and all the best. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.